As the sun set on the night before Pasadena Regionals at Port Gus the Ace's home. When the extent of his daily training came up, Ace gave an unbelievable line. Several times a day, my mind wanders from the One Piece TCG. I spend every moment of every day and night thinking about it. Do I, Roronoa Zoro, hold that kind of love for the One Piece TCG? Did RP Law? Did the founder of the ban list, Edward Newgate? Ace. So, where did you learn that? Well, originally, I thought rolling dice naturally fit into all of it. And for a time, I lived by that belief. But, someone has subverted my views on the path. A man we both know well. Teddy ETB. What he does is truly 24/7. No matter what's happening at any particular moment, all of his daily life is high rolling. He spends his whole day amidst TCGs high rolling. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. Someone who works hard can never beat someone who high rolls. Hello everyone, my name is Teddy. I hope you enjoyed that Baki meme that I thought of yesterday. I'm really excited with how it came out and I hope you liked it too. Hopefully that's not the pinnacle of my creativity here because this is Road to Regionals Volume 1. It's going to be a series documenting my findings playing Emu in OP13 leading up to the December 13th, 2025 Pasadena Regionals. So today is Sunday, November 16th. And that means I have less than a month to prepare for this regional. With the departure of the jungle meta and the arrival of the triangle meta, we'll talk about why I'm quoting that in a little bit, I've been having a really good time on Emu. As a control player, I just feel right at home and it's really fun and there's a lot to learn. So I'm hoping that this vlog format would be a really fun and interactive way to kind of document my findings when playtesting and doing locals. So hopefully somebody can learn from this. At the very least, I can look back on it and just be happy with the work that I put in. So if you've already seen, I've uploaded a commentary video versus Ace, and then I think I uploaded a blue-purple game, and then I think there's another Ace game coming out and a red Zoro game that I commentated. So that was from Thursday's locals. The plan here in this video is to basically document at a high level all of the locals that I've been to, and then additionally some playtesting notes, and also talk about my decklist rationale, things I might want to change, things that aren't really vibing for me, and finally just some thoughts about the meta, anxieties, or things to look out for when competing in a regional, things I'm keeping in the back of my mind. It's not going to be my first regional, but it's maybe the first one that I'm seriously prepping for. So keep our fingers crossed that that goes well. We'll see in 4 weeks. But until then, let's talk about the decklist. I lied. Before getting into the deck list, I just want you guys to know that I am not a professional. Top 32 on NL, but before the Raigo ban in Dofi meta doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying that I'm good at the game at all. But if you are looking for free resources out there, they're all over YouTube. There's plenty of gameplay channels. I think there are a handful of free guides. I know Hiroshiro has one, and I believe Angelo T just put out a free video with Vampire Gaming on an Emu Masterclass and also has a paid guide. And then Metafy seems to be the place for paid guides right now if you have the disposable income and feel like that'd be valuable to you. I think Hiroshiro also has a paid version. Angelo T, like I mentioned. Fletch and Trek, Ikai Lakai. I believe Impact just put out a guide as well. So there's plenty of resources, free and paid if you'd like. Hopefully this is a good free resource for anybody looking to learn Emu or really the One Piece card game because I'll hopefully talk through some of my thoughts about the game. So finally getting back to the deck list here, it's definitely stolen from somewhere, probably Newbie that just topped a couple of events in Asia. I've came to the decisions for the deck list on my own, but again, Emu is mostly solved. Like 42 out of the 50 cards are already solved. So I don't think I have an original thought here, but I am running 4 Shirahoshi and running 3 Mossguard. Why am I not running 4 searchable 2Ks? Because it's not searchable by Saturn. Saturn can only pick up 5 Elders cards, whereas Shirahoshi, can't be picked up by anything, but at least it feels good to recycle with the Garp event. Now, I'll get to some more thoughts about the deck list and how it performed at the end of this video, but I just wanted to talk about some card choices here, mostly the lack of Stussy. Stussy has been the hottest topic on Twitter this week. Should I play Stussy? Should I don't play Stussy? Guanrong plays Stussy, so I'm going to play Stussy. Oh, he took it out for EBO3 meta, and he only took it out for EBO3 meta, so, you guys are clowns for taking out Stussy. I just think I'm not good enough to use Stussy. I find that killing the first Tax Beard in the Ace matchup is probably the best time to use Stussy. It takes away so much momentum from your opponents. However, I don't feel like there's enough setup to beat a good ace by playing Stussy on 9. Again, I'm thinking about going first, where it's a much harder matchup for Emu. Think about the board state that you need to Stussy. If you spend 9 Dawn to pop a 10 cost Whitebeard, and they have any other 7K on board, they can just play another Whitebeard, swing 8 to 10 on their leader, because they'll have 2 Dawn standing if they have the I Am Whitebeard event. And then if they have a 7K body, they can swing at least 9K there with the attached Dawn. So I don't feel comfortable staying or trying to stay at 3 life in the ace matchup when I'm spending 9 Dawn on Stussy. For that reason, I took it out in favor of Charlos. I really liked Charlos. There's a game, again on my YouTube, where I played 4 blockers against an ace going first, and Charlos was one of the pieces of that puzzle. So I do feel like that was a little valuable, just to get no little spoilers, but that's kind of the main thing on Stussy there. Let's get into the locals. I played in 3 this week, which is honestly a lot, and I may never play this many again. It's a lot of games. I'm a little backlogged on videos, which I appreciate, and then of course this vlog has a little more padding as well, but I'll try to go through them pretty quickly. So last Sunday, I played in a local, and I played the strongest wizard in round 1. We were playing the Emu Mirror, but I won the dice roll, so I picked going second. And it was pretty interesting because going second didn't feel like that much of an advantage. I know you can play 2 4-drops on turn 3 when you have 6 Dawn, because you can play 3 and 3 with the 1-cost stage. We're always taking the 1-cost stage in the mirror, by the way. But it really felt like Strongest Wizard had a huge advantage just being the aggressor. Now, I do feel like there was a critical point in the game where I feel like he used his leader ability incorrectly and released the 7-cost Jupiter from his board, making his 4-cost Workeries, which I believe he had 2 of, 5Ks instead. That felt like a big tempo loss. I know he was leaving it up for the blockers, so maybe there wasn't quite a need to keep the Jupiter up. But if you're going first, I feel like you just want to swing face all the time. I don't think I had the counter to take 2 more 7s, and then he knew I wasn't running Stussy, so of course he just parked a 10-cost 5 Elders on the board and just said, what are you going to do about it? Thankfully, I was able to stabilize, and I think there was a point in the game where I was able to push him down to 1 life because I was swinging all of my bodies, and he was not. So we had the same board, same hand, but he was 1 less life, and I was just able to, again, going second, get my 5 Elders turn first, and just pressure him down that way. I proceeded to lose the next 3 die rolls. So game 2, I played against Keichu on Sabo. I lost dice roll, like I said, went first. And the only thing that I remembered about Revolutionary Army, because I hadn't really playtested against Sabo, is that all of their characters get plus cost, or at least the black characters get plus cost, and that's not a great thing for removal. Thankfully, all of Emu's removal cares about base cost. Mars can remove, I believe, the Hack Blocker, which is a 4 cost, and then I would need to use the Equilibrium event to remove the 6 cost Sabo, which I believe becomes an 8 or something like that. Something unremovable by Emu, which is probably a good thing. I mulliganed for the Equilibrium event, and I found one. I was able to use it on my 7 Dawn turn to KO the Sabo that was played on 6 Dawn. And it didn't feel too bad after that. His board state at the end was a little scary. It was 1 blocker Sabo and 2 8-cost dragons. The red ones with Rush that give Rested Dawn to a character or leader. 8K, 9K, 9K, I think, something like that. Something absurd. I thankfully had a lot of counter in hand, and honestly, removing that first blocker on my turn, what is that, 4? Was really, really powerful. So I'm very thankful for that. I was able to squeeze that game out, and I move on to round 3. My round 3 was my bracket demon, Baller. Now, if you watched The Strongest Wizard, Baller is a recurring character on his channel, and he is just the best green player you've ever seen. He was playing Green Zoro today, and he won die roll and just absolutely rolled me. I didn't know what I could do. He played 4-cost Zoro into Koshiro, and then next turn, I think I tried to Mars the Koshiro, and then the following turn, he was able to play Cavendish into another Koshiro, so there was just no way that I was able to clear that board. Using a Mars on Koshiro feels so bad, but Nustro really felt useless until turn 4 or so, just because there weren't that many rested characters, because that Zoro's coming out and swinging for 5 and then restanding itself at the end of turn. So there was just so much pressure. I think at the end of the game, I was really worried about DMG, even though he only had 2 cards in hand. I was starving, by the way. But he didn't have the DMG. He had the restand event. So I died to a bunch of 9k swings. I gave a block for a 7k swing, and I could have just used the block on the Zoro, knowing that I at least had 2 blocks. I think if I had maybe 1 more block there, I could have survived, but I don't know if I would have been able to survive even longer. I would have had to grind it out really hard, especially because he still was at 5 life. Round 4 was Endeavor on Foxy. Now, I don't know what Foxy does. Apparently, he stuns your guys. I wasn't having a great time because my leader could not attack the entire game. There was so much ramp going on, like Dawn -3 for that leader ability when attacking, and then he had a bunch of cards on board that would ramp him back, so he was always at 10. And then he just started dropping the 7-cost Foxies. Those Foxies are just a baby Shanks. I didn't know what to do. All of my guys were smaller, and the Foxy was 7k. What I ended up doing was prioritizing Nustro, because Nustro can minus 2k to the Foxy, so at least if the Foxy would swing, I could pressure with a Nustro swing, and then any other bodies I might have on board, and then, oh wait, I can't. My leader is stunned. I would always leader ability away the Nustro, and pray that I find the Jupiter and another Nustro to just cycle, and by the time I got to my 5 Elders turn, I was able to just stabilize, kill all the Foxies, and there's just no way of getting out of the barrage of 7Ks from the 5 Elders. I did end up losing the die roll, like I said. I went first, and Endeavor dropped Magellan on me. I immediately popped the Magellan because I was more scared of that 7-cost Foxy that I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and Dawn minus all the way down. I don't mind another turn of waiting. All my guys are minus anyway. I'll just be able to draw more cards. I have plenty of counter in hand. If I KO this Magellan, if you really want to punish me, you should probably Magellan 1 more time. So I feel like it was a big check for whether or not he had another Magellan or wanted to play it. And he didn't have another Magellan. So I don't know if it's always correct to immediately pop the Magellan, but I do think spending 5 Dawn for a 6k body isn't super good. So if you could just get rid of it on that turn before they can even get value out of swinging, maybe it's worth it. I haven't played a purple Luffy yet, so I don't know the horrors of Magellan and purple ramp into Gum Gum Giant, so I'm not an expert here. So that wrapped up my first local of the week. I ended up getting second to Baller out of, I think, 12 people there, so it was a 4-round local. Pretty good. Let's get into Thursday's local. I played in a 24-man local. It was 4 rounds because the down pair lost, and I ended up winning. So let's go through my games. Round 1, I played Blue Purple Luffy, and I won the die roll. I went second, and honestly, there wasn't a lot that Blue Purple Luffy can do right now. Mihawk isn't a very good card anymore because it can't bottom deck any of the Elders. Your Mars just pops all of the Namis and all of the Rosinantes that they have on board. Now, there's a theory that you could just leave all of them standing so I can only remove 1 at a time, but that just leaves your leader open to so many swings that you're going to run out of counter event in hand way before I run out of bodies to hit you with. The second game on Thursday was against Red Blue Ace, and it was the only die roll that I lost tonight. And It was kind of tough. I ended up needing a 4 blocker board to save the day. And I think at the end, honestly, my opponent misplayed a little bit because I was trying to hand read for the Roger, basically pressuring 8Ks into life and trying to get them to 0. If they went down to 0, then I knew I should preserve counter in hand for Roger. But he kept defending, he kept giving me cards. And then finally, after I think 2 or 3 turns of this back and forth, he played the Roger. And at that point, I just had so much counter in hand that I was pretty happy to just counter out and not really worry about the Roger there. I do think there was a bit of a misplay. I think he also swung with one of his blocker beards to just try and pressure for game. But that could have been a big difference because I know he had that 6-cost Uta blocker in hand. So it may have been a different story, but I do have to play that matchup a bit more. In my playtesting, shout out Dietrich, I just get rolled all the time. So maybe I've just had a lot of matchup practice and I know exactly where to go and was catching people off guard. Game 3 on Thursday was against Red Zoro. Now, I didn't want to go into any green Zoros, although as long as it's not baller, I feel pretty okay. Red Zoro, on the other hand, I have no idea what to do against. I hadn't played against that leader since like OP1 or OP2 when I was still playing One Piece alongside Digimon. Animal Package is just terrifying in that deck. I ended up winning the die roll, thankfully. I chose the 7-cost stage. I don't know if there's a realm where I want to pick the 1-cost stage to play bodies out faster, but I was able to just hang on by the skin of my teeth. I really think I almost threw the game on turn 1 when I used the 1-cost 5 Elders are at your service event to search a 5 Elders 10-cost. And I already had one in hand, but 2 were in the search. So I figured, okay, reasonably, I want 2. I can't get that one back. And I don't think I would have survived long enough to Shirahoshi a 5 Elders back to the bottom of my deck and draw into my deck. There's just too much aggro. So I took another 5 Elders. There was another 5 Elders in life, so I had 3 bricks in hand at all times, and it was just so stressful. I ended up pitching one of the 5 Elders to draw a card. Thankfully, it wasn't my 4th one, and I was able to survive at 0 life. There was no unblockable event, but I was trying to hold on to counters to just keep that in mind because I think Sanji and Daibel Jambe just would have blown me out of the water. Because I starved Red Zoro, because I play NL, I felt pretty good. I was able to target the book choppers with the Mars. And outside of that, Nustro put in a lot of work. Ooh. And then the last round was against my boy Vic on Ace. There isn't a lot to talk about in this game. You'll probably see it on Tuesday. Unfortunately, he just didn't see his blocker beards in time. I did win the die roll, so it was just so much pressure on his end as well. I find that I'm not really phased by double Marco, so not much to say. I know he wishes he put up a better fight. I'm sure I will get a better fight next week. I'm realizing that this is the first locals that I'll put up where I actually won. I think at best at locals, I've gone like 3-1 or 4-1 with an L. So it's really weird posting a local that I win. Cool. Speaking of locals that I won, I also won this Saturday's local. It was smaller. It was 9 or 10 people. I forget. It was only 3 rounds. And I played only ace, but I won all my die rolls, which is why I made the Baki meme. So round 1 against ace, I was actually missing my Warkery on my 5 Elders turn. And I think what I ended up doing was searching the Warkery off the Saturn and then playing Shirahoshi to get cards out of my opponent's hand. And my opponent successfully had a Roger setup. I think there were 2 turns where they were 8K. I may be blending the ace games together, but there was at least 1 turn where they were 8K and I could only poke 1 card out of hand because I'm swinging 8s. They saw 2 blocker beards, I believe, and then did the Roger setup, and I was able to counter out of the 13K swing. Now, when I had 3 life, I took the 6K, I took the 12K, and I took the next 12K to hopefully bait him into swinging like all his blockers because I had 2 rad beams in hand, and I was able to counter out the Roger swing. That game 1 felt pretty good. I love winning die roll. I will never learn going first. In game 2, I played against Calvin on ace, and I let the Garp live forever. I think the Garp got 3 swings into me. But my thought process was that if you're going to spend 3 Dawn to buff up Garp, you don't have better cards to play. So I'm very happy for you to commit even the Blocker Beard Dawn with the 2 rested coming underneath the Garp. I'd rather it be that than a Jozu. I don't think in this game he ended up seeing his Rush Yamato. I played Rush Yamatos in game 1 and game 3. The matchup is also much easier if they don't see it. On this game, I was able to find all of my 5 Elders, so Shirahoshi I don't think came into play as much. I'm still trying to find more ways to play Shirahoshi. I feel like Shirahoshi before 10 would be really good, but I'm bad, so I'll figure it out. Game 3 versus Ace was versus my friend Scott. This game was a lot tougher because I don't think I saw a very good curve. I missed one of my searches, either one of the small searches or my Saturn. So I was having a lot of trouble getting cards into trash early. I think by the time the Saturn came down, I did not have 7 in trash. Thankfully, he didn't Jozu. He ended up using the Rush Yamato instead, which was arguably worse. But I did have a Nustro in hand to chase it, and he did not have the Marcos until late game. I do think this game was a bit rougher for Scott because he did not find his Blocker Beards in time. There were a couple of turns where I believe he just dropped 2 Marcos, and, you know, at some point he did have 13 cards in hand, and that was a little scary. Honestly, without the 10 cost Blocker Beards there, I'm not really concerned. I believe his first White Beard was the Tax Beard. I don't think Tax Beard is very good just because of the fact that I can park a 10 cost, and if you Red Rock, it's just such a tempo loss. It's kind of a baby Stussy. Like Red Rock is a little fake, at least in Emu, because unless I'm being really greedy or ahead on board, there's no room to ever Red Rock anything. So I think in my game versus Calvin, game 2, I saw 2 Red Rocks in trash or something like that. Or was that Scott? Again, Ace games are blending together, but it was a lot of good matchup practice. So I'll be posting those games later this week. I can't believe I'm posting 2 locals wins in a row. That's pretty exciting. Let's wrap up with some deck list thoughts, and then I'll talk a bit about the meta. In terms of the deck list, I'm really happy with my list right now. The Garp event underperformed. I did not see it during Zoro, and I was hoping to see it versus any aggro decks because I can counter 1 and then get a 2k back and basically baby White Snake my way out of 1 turn. I think it's more valuable at 2 copies if I were to continue running it, just so I can see it and not search it down or trash it on accident. So that's maybe one change I would make. I also thought the Blocker Charlos was very good. I might up it to 3 if I see more emus. Right now I'm seeing a lot of aces, and that setup going first in my game versus Daniel really opened my eyes to how good Charlos was. There are a lot of instances where Charlos is good. I might cut... Oh, what do I cut? What do I cut? I might cut a Shirahoshi for that. Run 3 and 3 Mossguard Shirahoshi. I mean, that could be a change. Equilibrium. Do I want 3? Probably not. But the Garp event wasn't super useful at 1, so it could be another. Only 1 to 2 cards to change there, but otherwise I think I'm going to continue playing this list next week. Now at the beginning of this video, I was air quoting jungle meta and triangle meta. I just want to talk a little bit about what's been going on Twitter and what people think about this die roll meta. I feel like this is a bit of a die roll meta in that it is much harder to win going first. That being said, I don't think that in your regional matches or your locals matches that you'll be matched against people of an exact equal skill level. So I do think there's a lot of room for expression and just knowing your lines and piloting really well. So I don't think it's as much of a die roll, at least at my level. Maybe higher up, like all the pros are pretty bummed about it. So I don't know. I still think I got really lucky this week. I think I won 7 out of 11 die rolls. So definitely above average. I know next week, I'm hoping to lose some more die rolls, to be honest. I don't think I would willingly let myself go first, but I do think I need more practice going first. So maybe during playtesting, I'll do that versus Ace or something. Next week, we'll have less locals games, probably, because I don't think I can do 3 again. But I've been really having a great time learning Emu. So I hope this month has a lot of content in store for you. I hope you learned something. I'm having a lot of fun. I probably won't do another Baki meme, but I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next one.